Here we have the two cards that I made yesterday with the new dragons, and I'm going to do this video to recreate the background. Now, it will never be the exact same, however we are going to use the exact same colours today. So, supplies needed are 5x7" jelly plate, Colorbox ink, Coral, and Colorbox ink, Plum. Also need some Versafine Clair Chianti and Versafine Clair Nocturne. And the stamps that we are using today are new ones. So we have Vorlock, Medela, and there's not lots of these. Colony of Bats, I think it's called. I can't find the backing from it at the moment. So anyway, you'll also need Brayer, and the colours that I've used with the Brusho are Sunburst Lemon on its own just with some water, some white and Gamboge. The white was already in the pot and I couldn't be bothered looking for a new pot, so I added the Gamboge, and I'm quite glad that I did because it's a nice colour. And there was a little bit of rose red in the bottom of another pot, so I added some Terracotta to it, and that's how I got the three colours that I used for these backgrounds. So without further ado, let's have a go. So inking up the Brayer with the Coral to start with. And then going from the side across get rid of the excess and changing over to the Plum. I want to do my nails today, and then turning the gel plate round and then come from the other side with the Plum. Just go back over that a second. Okay, now the fun begins with the Brusho. So, starting with the Sunburst Lemon, and just having a tap. There's not exactly any skill in the way that I do this, it's just random. The water pot. And over the Gamboge. And the rose red. Rose red I'm using mainly at the top with the Terracotta, and just coming down slightly. In fact, actually no, I did use a little bit of that around the edge at the bottom as well, so it's probably a bit more than I needed, but hey ho, we'll soon find out. The thing I love about the Brushos is you never know exactly what you're going to get until you've actually pulled the print. And I forgot to cut some cardstock, so I shall be back with you just in a moment. side a second. So here's Multifarious cardstock, and when I'm using this gel plate, oops, it's okay, the card's got another side. I always cut it to just over the size of the gel plate. So this gel plate's 5 by 7, so I'm going to cut this to 5 1/4 by 7 1/4. A little bit mark. So let's bring this back in again. Okay, and pop the card down, smooth the back. Pull the print, and there we go. One background all ready to go. All I do with that now, before I start stamping, is I will cut it down to the right size. Now, when I'm making my 5 by 7 cards, I always cut the print down to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, but I take off 1/2 inch either side. And that's what I'm left with. So now I take my Versafine Clair and I'll ink up Medulla to start with. A little bit too much ink on the bottom of that. And one of my long hairs. Come on. Well, one of the drawbacks of having long hair, I end up with it getting everywhere. And drag that off of there. Sorted. Okay, so let's position Medulla. Just about here, I think. And then making sure, press down firmly and leave it to soak in to make sure you have even coverage. Okay. So there's a couple of little bits that aren't quite, so I'm going to be brave and I'm going to go over it. Because the stamp is clear, I should hopefully manage to get it without any issues, so fingers crossed. Otherwise I'm going to be redoing this video. Okay. Perfect. Okay, and now taking Verloc. Again, linking up with the Nocturne. This is a slightly different stamp to the one I used for the other card, but not to worry. And before I add the bats, I am going to do my moon. Just about there. Now this is just a piece of acetate that I have cut out using one of my circle dies, and then I have added some removable tape to it, which I got, if I remember rightly, from the range. I think it was about £1 a roll. So not expensive. Okay, inking up. I'll bring that over here now. And all I do from this point is go from the centre and work my way out to the edge. Just to start adding the halo around the moon. And then obviously, because the dragons are already dark, I don't want to go over them, so I'll just go round the very edges of where they are, so that it looks as if the moon's actually behind them. Just turning the card as I go and inking up as I need to. Just this little bit to go. Okay, that should do. And peel this off. And it hasn't happened on this one, but sometimes I get a bit of the removable showing up on there, on the cardstock. So, if that does happen, Adhesive Eraser is your best friend. Okay, so I'm happy with the amount of, in fact actually no, I'll go back over that bit a little. Gotta love removable tape. Just a little more at these bits. That's better. Okay, and we're now going to add some highlights using a Jelly Roll Sparkle pen by Sakura. This is the clear sparkle. And I'll start by going round the moon. I'm not sure if you can see how much sparkle's actually on that. I'll just hope it's showing up in the video. This is the bit that takes the longest for me, depending on how much is actually in the moon, because I like to go round some of the areas within it to make it pop. Okay, now what have I done round there? I've gone around the whole of the dragon. Okay, so before I do anything else, I'm now going to add my bat colony. In fact, just clean my stamp off. because I've just remembered I actually used Twilight for the bats. That way they're slightly lighter and look as if they're further off in the distance. Okay, let's have a look. Position them not quite as far up as what I wanted them to be, but hey ho. Just here. Okay. So let's do the inside of this moon. And just picking out some of the little areas where the Brusho splats have been. I don't always pick them all out. It just depends on my mood on the day. I'm a very intuitive crafter. I just go with the flow and see what happens. If it works, great. If it doesn't, it's just a piece of card, turn it over and start again. And sometimes, if you're not sure of it, just leave it to the side and go back to it at a later date. I don't know if anybody saw my post with the marbling card, the card that I had marbled the background on. I almost threw that in the bin because I wasn't sure what I was going to use it on. But I'm glad that I didn't, because the card and the fairy that I used on it, it actually went really well. So never throw anything background wise, even if you're not sure of it, just leave it for a while and go back to it. You may be pleasantly surprised. Especially when your craft stash grows so quickly, there's always something that you might not have thought of that you might need it for. See, this isn't rocket science, it's just basically just going with the flow and see what happens. Once I've done this, I will then go around the dragons to add highlight to them. And with the bats, I just sort of went over the top ones completely until I got to the bottom, and then it was just literally over just the very top. Then we're back to the moon. That just adds a little bit of something to the moon. Okay, now for the dragons. Again, it's not really skilled. It's just what I like to do. Just go around, because obviously they've got the moon in the background, or sun, whichever way you want to put it, because it could be anything really. It's fantasy art after all. And just go around the outline, because obviously we shine from the planet, the moon, the sun, whatever you want to call it. I'm just using very light strokes. I'm not leaning heavy at all with this, just allowing the pen to flow. So hopefully you'll be getting yourself some of these stamps and having a go. Obviously you can use other colours and other makes of colours. Just use whatever it is that's in your stash. If you haven't got some of the colours that we are using today, you should be able to get them on the Lavinia website, laviniastamps.com. Just have a browse through. There's lots of different lovely items on there. God, I've usually got my head right over this at the moment and I can't because of the camera. So I'm just hoping I'm actually getting the exact bits that I need and not going too far over the edge. Let's see, this is the bits that take the longest. So incidentally, just while I'm getting lost in the moment colouring in with the sparkle pen, if there's anything you guys would like to see me try, let me know in the comments. Please feel free to like, comment and share. As the old saying goes, sharing is caring. If anybody wants to follow me, they can follow me either by following on Facebook Creative Cards by Crafty Bears. Instagram is also Creative Cards by Crafty Bears. My Twitter account, which hasn't got very many followers out there at the moment, is just Cards by Bears, because Creative Cards by Crafty Bears was too long a handle for it, so I had to shorten it. So I shortened it to Cards by Bears. I will pop links to all my social media in the bottom under the video if anybody wants to look. I will also put links to the products used. I can't put links on for the stamps just yet because they're not available until the 22nd of August. That's when they launch. And on the same day, Lavinia Stamps will have the lovely Joe Rice demonstrating on Hochanda. So make sure you tune in for that. I can't remember the times off the top of my head at the moment, but I will put them when I post the video, so that if anybody wants to know the details, I'll then have them. Oh, another thing as well with regarding Sparkle Pen, if I ever use it and I'm trying to use it and it's not flowing, I will either scratch it on a piece of scrap card or paper, or in the back of my hand to start it going. You guys probably already knew how to do that, but I just thought I would mention it just in case there's anybody new that doesn't craft yet or hasn't been doing it long. I've not been doing it very long myself actually. Started making cards in October 2017. So now for my bats. Luckily the bats are quite quick to do. I hope I'm not waffling on too much for you guys. As I get down to the larger bats, it's just literally tickling the top of the silhouette. Okay, and now what I'll do to finish that off, let's grab some Chianti in a smoothie, and what I also do is grab a scrap piece of card, paper even I should say, and get some removable tape, attach it to it, and then pop that on. Keeps any messy fingerprints off of the card that you've just made, because obviously you wouldn't want to waste it at this point. And just go around the edge in circular movements. Again, just light. I'm a bit heavy-handed at this point, but you can be as light or as heavy as you desire, because obviously you can build up the colour if you want. It just sort of draws your eye into the centre of the picture by doing the sort of vignette around the edges. Now some of the sparkle may go from the very bottom back, so I will put that back in actually, but I'll do that after the video. You don't want to see me doing it again. Okay. So the other thing that I sometimes do is just get my Versafine Nocturne and just along the edge, just to frame, it just sort of makes it pop slightly. Okay. And all I would do from here, let me see if I've got a piece already cut. Nope. So because the card that we've just created is 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, I'm going to cut that out for it that's just slightly bigger. So this is going to be 4 3/4 and 2, so it's just to there. And then 6 3/4, add another 2 little bits. And here we have the perfect size matte layer. I use at the moment Cosmic Shimmer Glue to add my card to the back of that. There are other adhesives available, obviously. You can use whichever you have in your stash. Okay, and this is where I need to stand up and look over this so that I don't end up with it going ski-whiff. And again, that little black border around it just frames it. Where'd my cardboards go? Over here. Using the Colorbox. Just a moment. Excuse me while I open some card blanks. So 5x7 card blank. Fold in half. Let me just get rid of this so that I don't end up with some on the back of the card. And again, back to the old Cosmic Shimmer Glue. Okay. Almost put it on upside down there. And then just line it up. Yeah, that's it. And there we have another version of that. Hope you've enjoyed the video. And hopefully see you again soon. Bye.